guys, welcome my friends. This is Regeneration Radio, where we are striving to take the gospel of Jesus Christ to the ends of the earth until the end of the age. We're very excited to have another installment in what we're calling our Convergence series. And so I will be your host again today. My name is Marcus. And wherever you may be listening, whatever platform you may be using, we hope that this message will find you, will edify you, will encourage you, will challenge you, inform you, and equip you to know truth, and hopefully to be able to understand and discern the times, because we are living in some really interesting times today. And so guys, welcome again. As I said, I'm your host. My name is Marcus. And today we're going to be looking at part 4 of our Convergence series. Okay, so part 4 of our Convergence series. And we're going to be talking about robotics. We're going to be talking about nanotechnology. And these again are just one of the various components, one of the various dynamics at work in our day, in this modern age, in this digital age, in this technological age, in this transhuman age. And so we're going to take a look a little bit at our advancements in robotics and some nanotechnology, and really to be able to get to the heart of how does this have a biblical application or prophetic application as it pertains to you and to me. And so we're going to look into that today. Very excited to do that. If you've been with us over this series, we've started taking, again, these various elements, these various threads, these various dynamics, whether it be geopolitics, prophecy, technology, all of these things combining, the rise in the occult. There's just a myriad of things right now that are converging at breakneck, what I call exponential speed, coming together at just the right time to be able to fulfill what we clearly see in the Scripture, which is it's just truly going to be a dystopian, tyrannical, global system. Satanic global system that will have tremendous reach and influence, and we're seeing these things again happen right before our very eyes. And so that's where we're coming from with this media platform. We decided that the audience, this generation is engaged on the digital platforms that are on the variety of digital platforms, multimedia platforms that are available to us, and we wanted to be able to reach them with the good news of the gospel, to help them see that these things that are happening in our generation are not mistake. They have been prophetically spoken of in the Scriptures to us for generations, and we just happen to be living in that last generation that we are seeing all these things come together at such a time as this. And so again, we're so thankful that you've joined us. Help us out by liking, subscribing to this page, sharing this content with as many people as you possibly can, and that really helps us out a lot. And so back to our Convergence series, as I said, we've looked at the rebirth of the nation state of Israel. I do believe that is a prophetic sign that we are living in that last generation. We looked a little bit at transhumanism in general, which is really this umbrella idea, this umbrella ideology that is driving much of what we see in the world today in terms of genetics, artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, all of those things that we are seeing, and in our modern culture. And so we've looked a little bit at transhumanism. We've talked a little bit about genetics. We had a session on genetics and how all of that is really tied into what I believe will be or become the real life application of the mark of the beast. And then today we're gonna dive into a topic that's a little bit beyond my scope and definitely beyond my expertise. So I'm just gonna really try to touch on some of the highlights that I believe are most important, and really how we're going to see the development of robotics, nanotechnology be used. I believe we're going to be able to see these things used by the satanic world system that is quickly coming into place, whether it be these globalist elites, the technocracy at work, those who are pushing this global reset, those who are wanting to push the fourth industrial revolution, which is a digital revolution, really a bio-digital revolution. As we've talked about in this series, this integration to take biology and integrate it with digital technology to really begin this process of taking humankind to the next phase or the next stage of what they would like to say is evolution, and transitioning from human to something more than human, beyond human, post-human, whatever you want to call it. That's really where we are. And today's message is just really wanted to touch on some of the highlights, if it were, of what's going on in the arena of robotics and nanotechnology. So really what you have next time, we'll probably take a closer look at artificial intelligence. So when you have, what we're going to be talking about today is more of the hardware side, from a physical material hardware component. Where are we on developing technology that is becoming increasingly more powerful? The processing speeds are exponentially getting faster, and the size of these transistors and processors are staggering when we're starting to look even into quantum computing and the ability to develop electrical transmitters at a subatomic level. And again, this stuff really blows my mind, but we are in that generation where we're seeing these things happen right before our very eyes. And so anyway, what I want to do is always, sometimes I like to share these presentations with you, some slides, some pictures, some ideas, and looking at some resources, and that really kind of helps keep me on track and keeps me from getting off the trail or going down the rabbit hole. And so that's what we want to do today. And so here I'm going to just kind of drop my screen with you today. So as I pop this up, I'll show you that we're looking here today at the image of the beast. Now, when I say the image of the beast, we'll see that application at the end is really where I want to eventually get to this point where I show you that I believe robotics and nanotechnology will be contributing in a significant way to the development of what we're calling the image of the beast that we read about in the revelation of Jesus Christ in chapter 13. And so we'll look at that a little bit closer in just a moment. But I do believe that we're seeing the future is here. I mean, those things that I've said before, things that we once believed were science fiction, are now science fact. There's some dispute and some debate about how far we have come in our technological development. Some people still see us being decades out from really reaching that point of what many call the singularity, or which is really the artificial intelligence and technological processing power, that computation and ability to computate information, when that exceeds the collective knowledge and capabilities of mankind, and this artificial intelligence, or this this advancement in the collective knowledge of our sentient technological computers, when those things reach that point where they have transcended or eclipsed mankind's capabilities, mental capabilities, then at that point they say that mankind could eventually become subject or to catastrophe or become obsolete. And it gets a little scary when you begin to really think about, could we see the day when machines truly have not just the capability but the motivation to eliminate mankind, or to at least go to war with mankind, or to be at odds with mankind. And that, again, that sounds like science fiction, but guys, we're living in a unique day where these things are truly just staggering. And so here I'm gonna back out of this real quick, because I'm not really quite I don't really quite want to get there yet. I think I'm a little bit ahead of myself, so I'm gonna back up to the start. And of course, this is not part 2, so this is actually part 4. And so I'm gonna make that little change right in front of you. But then, anyway, this is robotics, and this is nanotech. All right, so we see this here, part 4 of our Convergence series, which is robotics and nanotechnology. And so we talked a lot about transhumanism in our last couple of sessions, and this is truly the dawn of the hybrid age, meaning that we're seeing all of these technologies come together at the very same time in this generation. So fascinating stuff that's happening. Transhumanism, ultimately, just to kind of recap, it is the pursuit and the process of transitioning humanity into a post-human future, trying to overcome the effects of the fall through using technology to reach, an alternative path to immortality. And as we'll see, robotics and our nanotechnology is very vital in being able to accomplish this transhumanistic vision. And so we talked a little bit about GRIN technology. I'm going to really combine robotics and nanotechnology today, even though they are distinct in their own categories. But again, this is not my area of expertise by any stretch of the imagination. So I want to be accurate, but I'm not going to try to get bogged down in the weeds, because there's a lot of technical stuff in this, and I'm just trying to give you some of the overall overarching themes and ideas that are connected to this movement. So what we're talking about are changes in the future, changes in technology. And so you'll see some of these images as androids or humanoid-like robots are becoming more and more authentic, more and more real. There is, one of the things that is pushing and driving the market in robotics, unfortunately, is the depravity of mankind is well on its way to the perversion that we never could have dreamed of. But unfortunately, we're seeing some of the fastest developments and advancements in robotics in the sex industry with robotic sex bots or sex partners. And again, I'm not even going to get into any details about that, because you can imagine what we're talking about there and how profane and perverse we have come. But these things have a tremendous demand in the market, and we're seeing developments, real life, human-like robots that sometimes, if you're not careful, are very difficult to distinguish between that which is real and that which is artificial. So the merging of man and machine, we're seeing this stuff, guys, like I said, unlike any other time in history. So a couple of examples: you've got this robot Sophia that's been developed by Hanson Robotics, a sentient learning being, robot, whatever you want to call it. And Sophia has raised some eyebrows with some of the things that she has said, and so you can go and kind of look into that as well. This is a Buddhist monk, a robot that has been, or android. These terms again are become technical, and I may not be correct in every term that I use, so please forgive me. But basically, this is an artificial intelligence empowered android robot, and it's leading Buddhist temple services as we speak, and many people, some people, a contingency of people believe that this could be the future of some of our religious changes and transitions that man begins to make as he looks to these type of beings, albeit artificial intelligence or robotic, sentient beings, but we begin to look to these things to become our spiritual leaders. And that's fascinating because part of the transhumanist movement is to create gods, or to create a god, an artificial intelligence god, that ultimately will lead us to the next, to the next phase or the next stage of human evolution, and hopefully lead us into a existence or into another an alternative path to reach immortality, as I've said before. So these are, again, just some examples. All of us have seen now how the Oculus glasses are being used to radically change how our brain understands, perceives, augmented and virtual images as opposed to reality. These things are powerful, and they are only getting more powerful. And so you can see how, again, robotics are just another component of necessary component that our transhumanist advocates and other scientific and technocratic advocates are truly trying to push and use and utilize in order to, what they believe, to willfully take man to the next stage of evolution. And so that's kind of where we see that picture. We're not too far away from taking these next steps and integrating man with the machine. And so unfortunately that's what we're seeing. And so if you just begin to think about the computing power that you hold in your hand with a smartphone, how 10, 15, even 20 years ago was just almost unfathomable, and now we are holding more processing power, computing power in our hands at any given moment than NASA was using back in the 50s and 60s during the space program. And it's just, with all of their computing and processing power, it is mind-boggling to see where we have come. And so we're seeing how as processing power gets faster and transistors become smaller, we're able to literally live in a world where there will be nothing that is not in some way integrated with technology. There will be nothing on the planet, including us as humans, that are not monitored, surveilled, integrated, connected to some type of technological authentication or technological application. And that's what's called the Internet of Things, which is a goal for many of our tech moguls to truly just see every single commodity to be integrated with the cloud, with AI, with technology, with surveillance, with biodigital data collection. All of these things are just again, I'm just giving you the highlights. I'm just giving you the headlines. You're going to have to go dig deeper to see really what's happening all over the world. But this stuff is staggering, guys. And so we know that technology can be good, even something that we would call rudimentary technology, even though pacemakers and things of that sort are really not rudimentary, but they are just some of the earliest applications of using machines to integrate with our physical anatomy, and to be able to keep someone alive whose heart is not operating properly. So we're thankful, and what does it say, that necessity is the mother of invention? So when we see these things happening, we know that most of them have good applications, good intentions. There are very good reasons for much of this technology to be developed, and it's for the benefit of humanity for the most part. And I do believe that many people working in these fields are truly do desire to just bring a contribution to humanity. They don't have any broader conspiratorial, nefarious, intentions or agendas, but they're just normal people trying to do a good job and use their gifts and their skills. But the big but in this situation is that there are people who are very powerful and very driven and have their own agendas and who want to use this technology for their own ultimate purposes. And so unfortunately we know that there's a tremendous black market. The military industrial complex all over the world is racing to use these things and driving the invention and the continued improvement and acceleration and development of robotics and nanotechnology. We'll talk a little bit more about the military part of that here in just a second. And so we see how, with our Apple Watches and our Fitbits, how we're already beginning to integrate ourselves with technology constantly. That's the Gatorade sweat patch that monitors your electrolytes and I think your heart rate and sodium levels and those kind of things. And so again, these are just really basic applications that we're seeing. DARPA has developed a gel-like implant that has the capability to monitor a person's blood 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and to pick up on any infections or viruses and those kind of things for monitoring our soldiers through live, biodigital information. And so these are just technologies that I'm bringing to your attention because we see how much robots already play, how much of a role robots already play in our world. A lot more than we probably care to acknowledge, or a lot more than maybe we even understand. And so, of course, in the industrial world and assembly lines and manufacturing, we've seen robotics for years now, and those applications are becoming more and more efficient and smarter. And so you can see now entire manufacturing plants and assembly lines that are completely run by machines. And again, there's the whole, I don't know if it's an ethical question necessarily, but it is definitely a serious consequence, is that at some point will we see robots, basically take over and replace humans in the workforce, and that's a legitimate concern, I think, for many people. So we're starting to see this happening more and more. You can go to Boston Dynamics. They are developing some of the most realistic humanoid and animal-like robots, smart robots today. I mean, these things are jumping logs and doing backflips and just have really impressive capabilities. And again, we don't know if this is just technology that they're allowing us to see now, and if there are robots that have already been developed far beyond these. And I would suspect that these are just prototypes that may be 10 years behind what's really out there in some of the more top secret classified programs. But nonetheless, I mean, this stuff is again, it's growing and it's being developed and it's being improved upon every single day, and exponentially the technology is just radically changing, and so rapidly and radically changing. So of course, drone technology being used in warfare now in ways that I think, I can't remember the numbers, but more and more of our Air Force fleets are becoming unmanned operated drones. And so again, if you don't have to put a man at risk, you send a drone out hit a target, why wouldn't we do that? And of course, that's what we're seeing doing. We're seeing self-driving trucks, more and more of them now with GPS technology and automated driving systems now becoming more and more viable. We're seeing these things on the road. Of course, Tesla probably driving the market in electric vehicles and then also in autonomous vehicles. But we're seeing these things more and more and should expect to see them. What about this one? Robotic surgeries. It's amazing when I hear how so many people now are being put under the knife and under basically the in the hands of an autonomous robot, some type of artificially, some type of robotic system that is it's not only manned and guided by humans, but also has artificial intelligence capabilities that unfortunately can pose a risk and a danger. And if you want to go look at research about how there have been many surgical errors and many surgical mistakes leading to serious injury and death in these type of robotic surgeons or surgery robots, whatever you want to call them. So there's some things out there that we put our trust in these things just blindly, but do we really know where this is going? Are we really willing to trust machines to handle some of the most serious medical procedures that we have today? And so all of these things are just fascinating. Of course, we know that the GPS satellite race is on to get as many satellites into the Earth's atmosphere as possible. And we're seeing this from, of course, Tesla. We're seeing this from Google, from Facebook, from Amazon. All of them have skin in the game because the ones that control the information obviously control the masses, and that's where the GPS satellite technology is really taking effect. And so these are all those different areas that well, not all, but many of the different areas where we're seeing robotics and nanotechnology take shape. And then, of course, Neuralink is Elon Musk and Tesla are developing a synthetic link to basically implant in the brain where man can integrate himself with machines. And hopefully, according to Tesla and Musk and those working, hopefully they will be able to use artificial intelligence to basically upload man's consciousness, memories, potential personalities into the cloud, and also download just exponential amounts of information to the human mind, essentially integrating our minds with AI. So these are things that are on the horizon, if not already breaking the horizon in the pioneering of technology today. Okay, and then of course quantum computing, which is also a very big component or very big part of this of man's capability to take robotics and to take the hardware of computing to the next level. And this is still in the early stages. Many will tell you that quantum computing is not quite efficient yet because of the amount of energy that it takes to cool these subatomic transistors that are processing information at speeds that are just beyond our comprehension. But we still haven't developed the efficient mechanisms yet to know how to keep these things cool enough to operate long enough. And so there's some challenges with quantum computing, but scientists believe that once this hurdle is overcome, that it will open up really the world to a whole nother level of information, data sharing, technology, artificial intelligence, and everything, and it will radically revolutionize the world. So, these are all areas that I just, I find interesting, and again, just kind of giving you the headlines to scratch some of the surface. But when we start thinking about robotics and these things, I thought, how does this really apply to what we see in the prophetic word, into the scriptures? And that's where I come to Revelation 13 and the image of the beast. And I believe that the image of the beast could have something could be very well connected, I should say, to this idea of robotics, cybernetics, making autonomous humanoid, sentient, realistic, sentient beings that if we're not careful, will really begin to challenge again what it means to be human, what it means to really begin to challenge the place of humanity, the place of mankind on this earth. And so let's take a brief look at Revelation 13, and I'll just kind of share some thoughts with you. As you see in Revelation 13, setting the context, this is prophetically looking ahead into that unique period of time when the beast is revealed. We call him the man of sin, or the son of destruction. He will be the Antichrist, coming with all types of signs and wonders and power, demonstrating himself to be God. And so he has a right-hand man that's called the false prophet, and so he will be in charge of promoting and really what's the word I'm looking for besides promoting, but the false prophet will be pointing the whole world to worship the beast, and he will be responsible for leading the world, deceiving the world, and convincing the world that they should worship the beast. And we read something fascinating in Revelation 13, speaking of this false prophet, and it says that he was like a lamb, but he spoke like a dragon. So again, he has demonic, satanic motivations, and he exercises all the authority of the first beast. And look at what it says in verse 12. It says, he makes the earth and the inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed, and it performs great signs. And he's able to make fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. So this guy is very powerful. His motivation is to make those dwellers of the earth to worship the beast. And then look at what it says. And by the signs that it is allowed to work on behalf of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on the earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. So now he's convincing the world that they need to make an image. Okay, when we think image, we think of replication, an idol, a reflection, a statue, if you will, or some type of physical form that reflects or represents someone else. And so he's convincing those who dwell on the earth to make this image of the beast. And then look at what the false prophet does. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, which implies that this image did not have breath or life, or was not a sentient being before this. But the false prophet was able to give this beast, this image, breath. Okay, whatever that is. Well, I'll give you my interpretation in a minute. So that the image of the beast might even speak. Okay, so now it's an intelligent, thinking being, something that was lifeless. Now apparently has some type of life or breath, life force, and then it also can speak. It's intelligent, and it can cause those who will not worship the beast or the image of the beast to be slain. So this is a very powerful being. This is a very powerful entity, this image of the beast. And so what are we talking about? Here's a couple of thoughts I want to share with you. This false prophet, so he will persuade mankind to create an image by, again, converging all the technology in the world. So Satan is in the process of bringing all of these components together, all of these necessary ingredients, all these necessary elements, bringing them all together. And I believe the false prophet will, at just the right time, when mankind is ready to reach the full integration of these technologies, that he will persuade and convince or deceive mankind to say, hey, we need to create an image. Okay, we need to bring all of these things together and create a being, create a sentient, autonomous entity that will be able to represent the beast. Okay, will be a replica of a real life reflection or representation of the beast. Okay, and so when we start thinking about images and likenesses, of course, that takes us back to Genesis, where God made it clear he made mankind in his image and likeness. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. And so again, we see Satan trying to take that which God has already done by creating man and the sons of man, the sons of Adam, in his own image, to be his representatives, to look like him, to think like him, to act like him, to talk like him, to love like him, to emulate his nature, his likeness, his character. Well, this image of the beast will be a perversion, but it'll be Satan's attempt to take the technology available to us in our modern day, in our modern age, and he is going to attempt to create his own image or something in his own image and likeness that, again, will represent him, reflect him, that will look like him, talk like him, and basically be a perfect representation. And just like Jesus is called the image of the invisible God. He's the firstborn over all creation. Jesus is the reflection, the representation. He's the exact imprint of the image of the invisible God. This image will be the satanic counterpart to that. So this demonic, demonically charged being that is representative of the beast and of the dragon, ultimately of Satan himself, of the dragon. And it reminds me of what was happening there even at the Tower of Babel, where it says that in those days after the flood, when Nimrod was building his empire in Babel, and they were attempting to open up the gate of the gods and bid the gods to come and commune with mankind once again, where they could worship the gods, these rebel and wicked and evil gods of the nations. And that's what was happening there at Babel. And God looked, the one true God, the Most High God, looked at what was happening, and he said, listen, they're one people, they have one language. This is only the beginning of what they will do, and nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. So, we're living in a day now where we're starting to see all of these things happen again as it did at Babel, and they are coming together, and it seems that there will be nothing that they propose to do will be impossible for mankind once we see all of these technologies converge. And guys, we're here. I mean, we are on the cusp of all of this. So here's my interpretation. Here's the bottom line of what I believe how robotics and nanotechnology are going to be playing a part in the last days. And again, I haven't talked a whole lot about nanotechnology because it's fascinating, but it's mind-blowing that there are micro machines, there are microscopic robots that are being developed and have been developed to use along a variety of applications, such as delivering medication, self-healing, repair within the human body, transmitting digital information, biodigital integration, weaponry. There's so many things on a nanotechnology level that I didn't really have time to go into, but I wanted to get really to the thrust of this presentation, which is what I believe we will see in the near future with the image of the beast. I believe the image of the beast will be a transhuman clone, or maybe I should even say a post-human clone. Okay, I believe this will be a living, breathing idol. Okay, so it's an image, it's physical, and it has a body. It looks like the beast, but it doesn't have life. Okay, it doesn't have breath. It doesn't have It's not an intelligent being until the false prophet, under the power of the satanic power of darkness, is able to integrate this image with AI, which I believe is what's giving this image breath or life, a life force, and also being able to give this image or this clone of the beast intelligence to become a sentient, thinking, intelligent being, very powerful being, to be able to speak, to be able to cause all those who do not worship the beast or the image of the beast to be slain. So just a far-reaching capabilities that this image will have, because it will be empowered and integrated with artificial intelligence. And so that's where I really believe we're seeing these modern applications of robotics and nanotechnology take shape, where they will eventually lead us to the ability for mankind to create a synthetic clone or some type of post-human cyborg humanoid clone, realistic, that looks like the beast, that walks like the beast, talks like the beast, represents the beast, has limitless power and knowledge, and just a tremendously very powerful being. I don't know how else to say it, but we see that that's what I believe we are seeing here in Revelation 13, that this image or this idol, this lifeless idol, is given breath, is given life, is given the ability to think and to speak. It's given intelligence. It's given artificial intelligence. And so we see that again, in the same way that God created Adam, created his physical body out of the earth, out of the ground, and then he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and he became a living being. So it's the same thing. I believe that Satan is doing this at the end, that he will be breathing life into this image, in my estimation, through the power of artificial intelligence, and this will become a sentient being, okay? And that's what this image of the beast will be. We see a parallel here in Daniel 3, when Nebuchadnezzar made his own image of gold, and it says, whoever does not fall down and worship this image shall immediately be cast into the burning fiery furnace. And so Nebuchadnezzar is foreshadowing this day when this image, this lifelike idol, this humanoid clone, will not just be an inanimate object there on the plains of Shinar or Mesopotamia in ancient Babylon, but it will be a thinking, intelligent robot clone, something along those lines, that will be used by the beast to increase his reach and his control and his authority and his power over the nations and over the people of the earth who are willingly going to participate in his system and his kingdom. And so we see the ramifications very clearly in there in the book of Revelation. And then, of course, in Psalm 135, we see how this idea of breathing into the idol, that there was an ancient custom in most pagan cults and pagan religions, where they would take the idols that they believed inhabited holy space, and they would bring them into their homes or into their communities or whatever, and they would hold these ceremonies called breathing into the mouth of the idol, opening the mouth of the idol. And they believed that through these incantations and through these occult rituals and through these ceremonial through these these pagan ceremonies, they were able to truly invoke the spirit, the god of that idol, to inhabit that idol. And so that's what we see here, which says, speaking of the idols of the nations, the work of human hands, it says they have mouths but they do not speak, they have eyes but they do not see, they have ears but they do not hear, nor is there any breath in their mouths. Those who make them become like them, so do all who trust in them. And so we see how, the psalmist here is talking about how these idols are worthless because they're nothing more than the work of human hands. But on the other hand, he is alluding to the day when there will be an idol, a lifelike, human-like clone that will receive the breath of the dragon, or will receive this life-producing breath, and which I believe again will be the empowerment and integration with artificial intelligence. And he will speak. He will have a mouth to speak. He will have eyes, and he will see, and he will hear. He will be intelligent, and he will be powerful, and he will have a tremendous amount of influence over the earth at that time. And so, guys, again, that's just a basic rundown of where I see things going when it comes to these things. And I know that we could probably talk more and more. We could talk more and more about that as we go. But I'm already kind of reaching that time period, trying to keep these presentations within reason. And so again, let's just kind of recap what we've talked about today. We've talked about the development of nanotechnology, the development of robotics, how these things are advancing in ways that we're probably obviously never have really imagined before. And so the size of the processors and the transistors are becoming more and more microscopic, subatomic, even with this quantum computing, which will open up a whole nother layer, a whole nother atmosphere of technology to us. And then you've got the robotic side of it, the hardware that is becoming more and more efficient. And so all it takes now, again, is the hardware, which is what we're talking about today, or this image of the beast. As we think about the final application, is that there will be this synthetic idol. He's maybe a humanoid clone. Maybe he will be very lifelike and look almost exactly. There will be no way to differentiate him between the beast, that he will look exactly as a perfect representation, an idol of the beast. But then the false prophet gives him breath. Okay, so there's some type of integration with artificial intelligence, and all of a sudden this image becomes lifelike and alive and can think and speak and talk and react and act on behalf of Satan and on behalf of the dragon in the last days. And so we're seeing these things, guys, happen before our very eyes. And so then the other component to that is the software, or what we're calling AI. And we'll have to spend an entire session on AI, because it is bizarre when we start thinking about how could something that is coined artificial intelligence ultimately exceed and surpass that which is what we call authentic, or natural intelligence, human intelligence. And so these things are fascinating, to say the least. And so, guys, I just I wanted to bring some of this to light. And next time, as I said, we'll probably jump into more of a discussion on how artificial intelligence is also part of this GRIN technology, this converging technology that includes genetics, it includes robotics, it obviously includes artificial intelligence, this nanotechnology. And so, guys, all of this stuff it's here. I mean, we are here. And I think that's something that we often take for granted. And so I'm just going to have to leave you guys on that note. And I appreciate you joining us. And again, help us out by sharing the message, by liking and subscribing right here to Regeneration Radio. And until we see you next time, guys, God bless, and continue to help us take the gospel to the ends of the earth until the end of the age. Amen. Amen. All right. You guys have a great day, and we will catch up with you next time. Peace out.